Morning. Okay, we are still having a few people having issues getting in, but we're just gonna get started. We know time is precious for everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. We're gonna keep letting people in and keep sending out the link. We had to create a new link last minute, so if your team is having issues, please share that new link that I sent out. In the subject, it will say webinar, new link in it. And you have to log in for security issues so we don't get Zoom hacked. You have to create an account. If you don't have an account, you should be able to do so, but you should just be able to use your Zoom email that you currently use for all your other meetings. So again, welcome to the Kentucky Governor's Office of Early Childhood webinar today. We're so excited you all are here, and I hope your all's new year is off to a great start and a wonderful beginning. We are very excited you all are here. You all might see this. So I've been sharing my Zoom account with people if you can't get in. So you might see a couple of me. Okay, so just a few housekeeping things today. We're going to be focusing on transitions in our Delivering Strategies with Impact series. In November, a few of you all were able to join us for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library webinar, which was great. We had Christy Kraus and Keith Lyons join us, and it can be found on the website if you want to go back and watch that. But we're focusing on our bright spots and just quality transitions during today's webinar, and we're really excited about it. We have our consultant team Compass with us, Kate Irish and Sarah Heinmeyer, and we also have a wonderful excellence in the field example with Kim Grubb, who I will properly introduce here in a little while. But just a few housekeeping things. So during the presentations, please feel free to pop in the chat and ask questions or give comments. Use those reaction buttons. We really like to see how people are feeling and keeps it interactive. And then at the end, we will go through all the questions and discussion. We'll leave plenty of time for that and any follow-up information too we can provide. So if there's no questions, we will go ahead and get started. And I'm going to kick it straight to our Miss Executive Director, Miss Amy Neal. I think Amy might be having some issues as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen and we will kick it off until she's ready to get on here.
Megan, Amy is having some trouble getting in, and she would like for us to go ahead and step in for her until she gets in.
You all see this? Point.
Yes.
Great. So as we mentioned, today we're going to be talking about collaborative strategies to support transitions. And so every webinar, we just like to give a little bit of background information about our office here at the Kentucky Governor's Office of Early Childhood, because we know some of you all are not as familiar with us, and we want you to be. And we really want to continue to see your participation in the webinars. So So just some of our original goals of the Kentucky Governor's Office of Early Childhood is to provide leadership and direction for the Commonwealth with the goal of maintaining a comprehensive and sustainable prenatal to age 5 early childhood system that ensures a strong foundation for all children. So some of our main goals here at the Kentucky Governor's Office is to promote greater collaboration, which we do with all of our birth through 5 partners, which is all of you all included today. We emphasize quality and continuous improvement, and we ensure children enter kindergarten more prepared. What do you, okay. Thought Amy was with us, but okay. So since, as you can see with the Kentucky Early Childhood System timeline here, in 2000, the Kids Now legislation was created. And since its inception, the Early Childhood Advisory Council has been a catalyst and change agent for our office. And across the country, the way that the states house various early child programs and services varies significantly. But in Kentucky, the Early Childhood Advisory Council and its support office, which is us, the Kentucky Office of Early Childhood, serves as the coordinating and the convening body for the 3 oversight entities, which is for the Cabinet for Family and Health Services, the Department of Education, and the Education and Workforce Development Cabinet, which houses over 30 plus agencies. And so, as we mentioned, Kentucky started with Kids Now legislation in 2000. And we've been seen as a leader because we're one of the first states to develop the early childhood standards and an Office of Early Childhood as a consensus-driven definition of kindergarten readiness and to implement a kindergarten readiness screener, and have secured 2 very federal competitive grants, which we're really proud of. And one of our deliverables from the preschool development grant was our 5-year strategic plan, which we use as the roadmap to develop to facilitate collective commitment across the state to increase access and opportunity for all our children of the Commonwealth. So as we know, Kentucky has hovered around the 50% mark for the last 5 years. And when children start behind, it's very difficult for them to catch up. And so our 3rd grade reading and math have hovered around that 50%, as we mentioned. And so our plan, our goal is definitely to get those numbers up and ready for kindergarten readiness. And we know that there are multiple ways to do that. And one of our ways is obviously to work with all of our partners here and with our regional collaboratives throughout our state, and to get that those bright spots and data-driven strategies. So some things that we have been working on to continue to move that spectrum is collaboration, quality and continuous improvement, and ensuring those more kids are ready for kindergarten, as we mentioned. So we are promoting the collaboration among our regional collaboratives. We have 31 across our state, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute if we're not aware of it. But we're investing in those best practice solutions, which we also refer to as Kentucky Bright Spots. We are planning for sustainability and matching dollars from our key stakeholders with that blending and braiding resources funds, which I'm sure you guys have heard. And then we're really pivoting investments from one day of activities to long-term behavior changes, which we are really going to support in our upcoming RFA since we're moving to that 2-year grant. And we're really excited about that as well. So with emphasis on quality and continuous improvement, we have started registered an apprenticeship program. As of 2021, we have 26 employee partners. We have secured $2 million to grow that portfolio. We're standardizing training and technical assistance across the network and encouraging the local levels. And one of those examples is by these webinars that we do every other month. And then we've been partnering with our partner agencies doing the webinars during our off months. And so that's been really good. And we're facilitating scholarship investments. And the ways to ensure that we can get that 50% moved is using our data to drive decision making, which is one of the reasons we're moving to a 2-year grant. And we are doing those year-round trainings. And of course, we're addressing those most underserved communities, which has always been an issue, but especially now, given our pandemic that we are currently living in. So this will be new for some of you all, and it's really exciting for us. This is our new regional collaborative map. And so here you will see if your county is in white, that means that there's not currently a regional collaborative in your area, but that is not one of our goals is to make sure that every single one of these counties is representative. So first of all, let's back up and go into a little bit of the history of it. So in 2019, the Early Childhood Advisory Council voted to streamline and align what was originally called Community Early Childhood Councils and to the Workforce Investment Boards after an evaluation process and a lot of recommended findings. And we now refer to these as regional collaboratives. And we've reduced the number to single councils to support best practices and provide newer opportunities to create greater impact. And so the regional collaboratives across the state are tasked with uniting organizations and local communities to address critical early years of a child's life. And so the 4 main things that they focus on is aligning the birth to 5 programs and strategies, which reduces duplication and leverages additional resources to ensure children in their community have a strong start. We collaborate with the Kentucky Center of Statistics, KSTATS, on the early childhood profile, which is a great tool to connect prevention services along the birth through 5 pathway to increase access and opportunities for all children, but especially those underserved, as we mentioned. We invest in data-driven strategies and solutions through local innovation and decision-making to grow those Kentucky bright spots, which we mentioned, and then affect change to make measurable progress towards locally defined community-wide goals. So as I mentioned, the data-driven solutions, we are encouraging our regional collaboratives to elevate and amplify what works. And we know what works because there are data-driven programs a lot across the Commonwealth that have measurable impacts on kindergarten readiness rates. So just as an example, 90% of 3-year-olds and 85% of 5-year-olds that were enrolled in early steps to exceeded vocabulary standards. And 52 of the children identified as participants in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, 86 of those entered kindergarten more prepared compared to those who didn't. And Head Start students on average outscored eligible students who were not enrolled. And with our focus today with transitions in Northern Kentucky, 60% of children who entered school where they used best practice transition strategies entered school more prepared compared to the state average of 51.1% and the county average of 54%. So we have the data to back it. We have the information to back it. And we just want to encourage our regional collaboratives and our partners to elevate and amplify those strategies. And we're really encouraging them to be used in the upcoming RFA, which, like I said, we're moving to a 2-year grant, which we're excited about because it gives all of our regional collaboratives an opportunity to move those long-term behavior changes easier and to scale up strategies. And like I said, too, the office here provides the free webinars every other month for the purpose of supporting impact and innovation of early childhood education. And we're really thankful that you all are here with us today. And so on the map, like I mentioned, if you see your county in white, that means that there's currently not a regional collaborative there, but our goal is to make sure that every county is represented with a regional collaborative. And if you are a part of this webinar and do not belong to a regional collaborative, please get in touch with me. I will put you in contact with your regional collaborative, or if your county doesn't have one, with the closest one, and we'll get a conversation started about how you could potentially help the process of starting one. I know all of you are busy, and you don't, that just because we have a conversation doesn't mean you have to be the person to chair it or do all the legwork. We want to be able to do as much legwork for you as we can, but please get in touch with me about that, because that would be, like I said, we really want to get all 120 counties represented. So today, our webinar goals, as you can see, are going to focus on transitions, and we're going to identify best practices for supporting transitions, discuss strategies for collaboration and blending of resources to support transitions. We're going to highlight our excellence in the field, which is Mrs. Kim Grubb, and we're going to learn how to leverage support from communities for transitions. So at this point, I'm going to pass it over to our colleague, Kate Irish, who is with our consultant team, Compass, and let her get us started.
All right, good morning. Thanks, Megan. Megan, are you able to hear me okay? Can you just give me a thumbs up?
You're a little faint.
Okay, let's see. Is it any better now?
Try again.
Same.
A little bit.
Okay.
I can hear you okay.
I've turned up my sound on my computer, and that seemed to help too, just in case anybody
Okay.
else needs to do that.
Okay. Thanks. Just flag me if it's a problem, okay?
Will do.
Okay, thanks. Well, as Megan said, we are really wanting to focus on transitions and continuing this this emphasis on investing in what works. And as Megan, just gave some really good data, we know that high quality transition strategies work. We've seen the school readiness data. We know that these are strategies that have good outcomes. And so that's really what we kind of want to start by grounding sort of the best practices of transitions work, and then be able to turn it over to Kim to talk about some really exciting work that they're doing in Floyd County. And so sort of just starting with the why, and I feel like we all know how important transitions are. I think especially all of us over the last couple of years have been having an awful lot of transitions in our own lives. And so we kind of have that kind of real life perspective of transitions, and when they go smoothly and when they don't go smoothly, to build from. But in early childhood, on top of just all of the last kind of 2 years of transitions in early childhood, we know that that's just such a rapid period of growth and development that young children and their families are constantly in transition, both developmentally and just moving from different settings, different relationships. So it's just such a great opportunity. While transitions can be challenges, they can also really be opportunities. And in early childhood, looking at transitions as opportunities means that these are really critical windows of time, critical touch points for us as professionals to be able to support those children, families, teachers, schools, to foster that smooth transition. And, we know that when we do that, when we have the strategies in place and they're comprehensive and they take place over time, that they do lead to better outcomes. We see that both academic outcomes. We also see greater parent involvement long-term in school, as well as, just sort of better social and emotional outcomes. And that's, especially when we think about the transition to kindergarten, we know how important that is to have those social and emotional skills right at the beginning. But I am sure I'm preaching to the choir with all of this talk about transitions, because y'all have been working on this for a while. And especially at the state level, the Governor's Office of Early Childhood has really had an emphasis on transitions and developing the resource that you see on your screen called Kentucky's Transition to Kindergarten Plan is really a guide and resource for you all to be able to access. And this was part of work that was done in 2019 with the preschool development grant. And so I think some of you on the call may be aware of it or may have been involved in it, but really with the leadership of Brenda Hagen and Anna Shepard, they're two kind of rock star transition folks. They led this effort to have this resource to put out that's really a guiding document for Kentucky, all about transitions. So really having a vision for what transitions can look like throughout Kentucky and identifying best practices, a framework for approaching transitions, and some concrete action steps and resources. So if you haven't already checked out this document, I definitely encourage you to do that. There's a link up there. So please feel free to access that after the webinar. So when we talk about transitions, as I was saying before, really thinking about them as opportunities, it's sort of like, how can we as professionals and stakeholders, community members, how can we promote these opportunities and promote the good transitions? And so I think looking at them as opportunities to support families, thinking about really focusing on the strengths of families, using a strengths-based approach and empowering families from the outset. I think we also look at the importance of consistency, looking at having the same kind of messaging and information and strategies across different settings. I think there's nothing more frustrating than getting like two different answers from two different places, you know? And so I think it's sort of like wanting to have that consistent approach throughout the community. Another really critical piece that the group that developed the transition plan was really focused on was how important it is to embed transition approaches within our existing professional roles, responsibilities, organizations. I think too often transitions sometimes end up being sort of an add-on to what folks already do in their job. And so really making an intentional place for transition so that it is a part of what we do. It's part of our time and effort, part of our job descriptions, part of our organization's mission and activities. So making sure that there's really space for that thoughtful transition planning and the implementation of transition strategies. And I think also having that thoughtful approach really requires collaboration. I think we'll go on to talk about sort of all the different players that are involved in transitions, but we also know that we need to collaborate across agencies and systems in order to have a successful transition. And also have communication be consistent and again, sort of like aligned across systems. So, and this slide really shows it's probably familiar to some of you, the ecological model with the different circles, but this is, I think, really helpful, especially thinking about transitions and thinking about, you know, transitioning a child into kindergarten, for instance, really is a shared responsibility. It's really a team effort or team approach. It's not really about a child starting kindergarten that first day and knowing their ABCs or knowing certain things, whether it's not about that child being ready or not. It's really about, are the families ready? Are the teachers and schools and programs ready? Is our community ready to support those children? So really kind of like flipping the script a bit on whether the child's ready and making sure that all of the different levels and stakeholders are ready to be able to support that transition and to support that child. So this kind of just is a visual that shows these different levels and how important it is to intervene, not just with a child, but at the different levels. So I think one of the critical things when we start looking at the research and looking at best practices around transitions is really this focus on higher intensity strategies. And so that really means strategies over time. So that's part of it. So it's sort of not like a month before kindergarten starts or a month before whatever the transition is. It's really looking at making sure you have a plan that's longer term. That starts well before the transition and continues after the first day of whatever that transition is. So really thinking about how you can have something that takes place over time. Also having multiple different types of strategies. We know that one size does not fit all with families. One size really doesn't fit all with, with anything, but really with families, there's different preferences, different schedules, different languages. So it's just really important to think about that. If you have one event once, you're probably not going to be getting to everybody, right? So it's thinking about different kinds of strategies offered at different times, and making sure, like I said, they're sort of over time, like throughout the year, not just sort of everything happening kind of the month before school starts, just as an example. And I think, really focusing here on the family partnership. So the relationships are so important, as you all know, and really is trying to foster those relationships as soon as possible and continue them. So those initial communications, those initial feelings when you start to build those relationships are really important. So thinking about that, those different levels and all the different relationships between family members, teachers, school administration, and trying to carve out time and focus on sort of that relationship building. Again, the communication being really important, and also having different types, different languages. Everyone has different preferences. So again, sort of not just having the one communication that goes out once, but really thinking about and asking families like how they prefer to be communicated with, and having different options there. Another really important piece is thinking about your transition planning across systems, because the one size fits all thing applies here too. Children are not all in the same setting. So it's really important to work with across systems and partners. And when we're talking about transition to kindergarten, also really focusing on outreach to families whose children aren't in a childcare or preschool setting. So making sure that sort of transition plans are inclusive of all the systems and partners and situations that families are in and children are in. And then, kind of along with that planning across systems, figuring out ways you can really align, where you can make sure it's the same messaging and information, but are there opportunities where you can actually be using the same standards and curriculum? Can you be using the same assessments? Can you have professional development that's joint and aligns, really, so that the professionals are able to provide that consistent message and experience, and that is done through alignment that happens at the program and systems level. So those are just sort of some of the key elements of a high quality, transition planning, is focusing on this intensity and these elements. So this is sort of a visual from that report document that was on the screen a few minutes ago. And there's a lot of strategies within that. I think the key is to think, like we were seeing with those circles, is to think about strategies that fit each of those, like strategies that would address a child's need as they're transitioning, also family focused strategies, and also strategies that are focused on the professional, the teacher, the program, school, and community level. So that's kind of the key here, is to think across all of those different levels to develop strategies. And so one thing that's been effective for some communities and schools is to develop an actual transition plan, a document where everything is being outlined. It's a way to be intentional. And as we said, again, a way to embed the work within the processes and systems, as well as it's just a way to work collaboratively, develop the plan together. And then also, making sure that plan or the planning focuses on family partnership, family engagement. And there's a variety of different strategies that are included in the action plan, just to give ideas. Obviously, you all will make it your own and customize it to your community and what you all need. But I think I won't go too far into strategies, because I know we have a really amazing set of strategies that Kim is going to be able to focus on. So I think it'll be really great to hear from Floyd County. They're doing work across all these different levels and systems that we have been talking about. So I think, Megan, if it's okay, I can turn it over then to Kim.
Yes, thank you so much, Kate. Kim, I'm going to let you share your screen, but I'm also going to have the opportunity to, for those who don't know, Miss Kim. So she has, Kim has served with the children of Floyd County now for 25 years, and she has 16 years of experience teaching in Head Start and preschool classrooms. And along the way, Kim coordinated the May Valley Born Learning Academy and was the curriculum lead for Floyd County Head Start. And she's been on many district level teams, and she's represented Floyd County schools regionally and at the state level. She's an active member of the Floyd County Regional Collaborative and collaborated to help bring Kentucky Readiness activities virtually into homes and restarted the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. She's been inducted into the Floyd Cooperative Extension Hall of Fame for service and leadership, and she's a great example for community service. And for the past 9 years, Kim has served as the education consultant for early childhood, where she has worked with teachers in all early childhood classrooms in the district. And we are just really thankful and excited that Kim had given us some time today to join us for the webinar, because when we say excellence in the field and excellence in action, Kim is a prime example. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Kim.
Thank you, Megan, for the introduction and for the opportunity to share the strategies Floyd County has in place for transitions that start at birth and continue through school age. First of all, I'd like to start telling you a little about Floyd County. We are a rural county with a population of 35,485. And within that population, we have 2,093 that are under the age of 5. We have 16 Head Start preschool classrooms and 6 active child care centers in our county. And our current kindergarten readiness is 49.5%. First, it's important to understand that transitions is recognized as a continuous process involving many different partners rather than a single event that happens with or to a child or family. I would like to share strategies that we utilize in Floyd County around ready children, ready families, ready school and programs, and ready communities. All of these contribute to the transition process and builds a more continuous education experience for the young children and their families. We have found that the consistent ongoing opportunities are essential in supporting our transition efforts. We looked at what worked, what didn't work, and we built on the strategies that worked. What I'm sharing today are strategies that we started and we continue to build upon. So first, I'd like to start with Ready Children. The goal of these transition activities are to get the child familiar with the school setting and to provide access to learning materials. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of these to share with you today. One activity for Ready Children I'd like to share is the HANDS kits. A few years ago, our Early Childhood Council partnered with the local health department HANDS program. The council purchased age-appropriate learning kits to give to parents so they would have extra materials to help young children that HANDS were serving in the home and have those materials to help them reach developmental milestones through play. These are given out to the families during the HANDS visits and then picked up from the family at a later date. And now the council just continues to provide replacement materials for the kids, like the toys that get worn out or the books that may get damaged or any of the consumable materials. So once we purchased, we did started out with 10 kits, and now we're at the point where we just continue to replenish those materials when needed, when the HANDS department lets us know that that's needed. Another one I'd like to share with you today are our tiny academies. to help with Ready Kids. Tiny Academies are held at each elementary school in Floyd County. In the past, it's been once a month, and we partnered with the school and the resource centers to help with this. During our Tiny Academies, parents learn about school expectations, tools and strategies, and they get resources to support their child's success in school. And we have various presenters. We have Extension doing a presentation on nutrition and other activities. We've had our Kentucky Valley Education Co-op come in, and they've done math and literacy trainings with the parents. We've had even our directors through the school district come in, like the transportation director talks about, about riding the bus and what to expect there. We've had our nutrition person come in and talk to what school lunches and nutrition and what that's going to look like. We've talked about school readiness. It's just some of the few topics. So while the parents are in the training, they are either in the library or cafeteria, or wherever we have a large space for the parent. Their children are in an actual classroom doing activities with preschool, Head Start, and kindergarten teachers during that time. So they're getting some school readiness activities while the parents are getting their parent portion of the training. And we actually offer that up to any kid. We've had them as small as toddlers all the way up to age 5. So there's a huge range here that can participate in these Tiny Academies. And our resource centers has been great to help out with these and partner to get these up and going and running in all the elementary schools. Another important piece to the transition process are Ready Families. And the goal of these activities are to help ease the transition process with a variety of supports. To better reach our at-home population, the council has started what we call our Facebook Live. This is sponsored also by our local hospital, McDowell ARH, and they pay a stipend for one of our preschool teachers to do 2 live sessions a month on various school readiness activities. The teacher pre-records the video and she posts that video on Facebook on the 2nd and last Saturday of each month at 3 p.m. The reason we call it live, even though it's pre-recorded video, is she is live for 1 hour during these sessions from 3 to 4 on those Saturdays to answer any questions that parents might post or comment or private message her about school readiness activities, how to register for kindergarten. She lets them know of any special upcoming events. So that's one of our great ways that we started to reach that at-home population. Another event that our council does is called the SPARK event, which stands for Supporting Parents to Assure Ready Kids. This event is our council's huge event, and it's held each spring, and it's set up for children birth to 5. And this event gets the whole community involved. It's hosted at our Big Sandy Community Technical College, and we have vendors ranging from conservation districts to forestry. We've even had some people there with rescue animals. And a lot of these vendors have little activities that the children can do at their stations. We had the fire department there with a firehouse simulator. So the kids got to experience what it may look like in a house with smoke, and they walked them through on how to get out safely. We've had even the air evac helicopter there at our events. We have games and education stations set up with activities led by preschool Head Start teachers and our child care teachers also. At this event, we have KET, our local library, UK Dental Van, STEM Bus, Family Resource Centers. We have a lot of activities, even though it's set up for age birth to 5, but kids older really enjoy this event also. And we also always have a hook. So if you see the picture down here below, we had Disney princesses one year and to get the kids coming in. One of our targeted efforts for the prenatal to home is what we call our STORK project. It stands for Start Today for One Ready Kindergartner. This project provides information, resources for the family upon birth. This is a partnership with Floyd County Schools and our local hospital, Highlands ARH. They're the only hospital in our county that provides birthing services. So in their birthing packet, we had, actually years ago, we had started small. We had started in the birthing packet, we fixed a DVD that had a variety of resources for the families that was placed in the birthing packet in the hospital. And then we went on to, those were no longer, we had to change because these are pretty much obsolete now. So we started with a QR code, and we got a book, and we placed the QR code on the front of the book, as you can see Ms. Shepherd's holding there. And they can scan that QR code with a smartphone or a smart device, and it will take them to a Google site that has a variety of resources for families, such as how to contact HANS if they may need first step services. They have a welcome video from our superintendent on the website. So, and that's a live QR code if you want to scan that and kind of see what that site would look like. And they also get the book. And then after we've done that for a while, we have started adding a little onesie to the pack that has the Stork logo on that. So we started small, and then like everything else, we kind of, as it progressed, we kind of progressed with it and added a little bit more to those activities. Looking at our data, we saw an increased number of grandparents and great-grandparents raising their grandkids. And we saw a need to find a way to support this group. So our council started a Grandparents Rock events, which ROC stands for Raising Our Children's Kids. The first year we held this was virtual, and we hope to get to have this in person later this year. And we had a variety of topics that range from school readiness, technology tips, stress management for grandparents, and legal rights and responsibilities of grandparents. And we had a variety of presenters from our county. We had teachers from preschool and kindergarten talking about school readiness with the grandparents. We had our Floyd County Schools had their technology department do a training on some technology tips. We had Extension Office doing stress management with their grandparents. And we had a local county attorney talking about legal rights and responsibilities. And that's just a few of the topics that we had during our Grandparents Rock event. Another strategy, and we are excited to bring Dolly Parton Imagination Library back to Floyd County. We started out small with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library with seed funding from Save the Children. We started only enrolling the 3-year-olds that were in Head Start preschool and All Child Care Center Center because that's all the funding we had at the time to get it started back. And we needed to find some ways to keep it going in Floyd County. So we approached the library, school district, hospitals, and local businesses. And we even set up a donation page to the Foundation of Appalachia, and that we were getting more funds to keep it going, and especially with the match that we're getting through the governor's office. So to keep that program going in Floyd County. Also, the Family Resource Centers, they purchased 2 books in Floyd County, and they're sent home with the preschool children during home visits that the teachers have, and they focus a lot on getting ready for school and school readiness activities. Another connection to smooth transitions are Ready Schools and programs. This includes child care centers. The goal of these activities are to develop teacher-to-teacher connections and data sharing. One I'd like to share with you that we do is called the Directors Leadership Academy, or DLA. DLA provides Head Start, preschool, and child care in Floyd County with opportunity to share data such as developmental, formative, and state kindergarten screener information to improve high-quality services for the children and families we serve. The Community Council also purchased Bergantz kits and the online management system for Bergance OMS to support childcare centers, and that we would have common data and common language to share among kindergarten and preschool and Head Start. The council continues to provide these resources and support for the Bergance system for childcare centers. And all the childcare centers have the opportunity to be trained on how to use the Bergance and the online management system. The next one I'd like to share is Ready Community Activities. The goal is to provide information and resources to help facilitate transitions in Floyd County. The community piece is very important, especially in reaching those families who do not have a child enrolled in any structured setting. Save the Children is an important part of these community activities with funding for K-Readiness Kits, Summer Reading Challenge, and they provided seed funding to get Dolly Parton Imagination Library back up and running in Floyd County. The Library for Support for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and they created a list of 100 books that we can share with our parents and families to read before kindergarten. And Extension, they're an important part. They do block party play dates. They're currently doing a Laugh and Learn Academy, which they're working with our family resource centers with those and sharing in our tiny academies also. The big message here is that children who experience more supports between family, school, and community reap the benefits by having a smoother transition and sets them up for social and academic success. Also building these connections with community councils, schools, libraries, extension, hospitals, resource centers, Save the Children, local businesses is physically a smart move. Many of these transition activities advocated here are low cost to implement and yield big results in terms of child outcomes. And you can see some of these I've listed here. We've seen improved adjustment to kindergarten, less boo-hoos and tears. They're more familiar with routines. We've seen increased participation in our transition activities, and we've seen improved kindergarten readiness scores. These are just some more great examples of community supports illustrated here from local businesses that put a bookshelf in their business with free books that any kid that comes in can pick up a free book from their shelf. Our county is starting to do more sensory activities such as Sensory Santa and Easter Bunny and other events for children who may have some sensory issues. So what's next for Floyd County? Well, we're taking a look at what the data that we've collected. We're looking at our goals and objectives. We're looking at what's working and not working. And we're always formulating and coming up with some new ones. A couple of new ones that we're doing right now are Reach Out and Read, which we're working with our pediatrician offices to get some books in the hands of children like 2 and under. And we're looking at starting to work with the WIC program, getting some books out to those children. We're going to be focusing a little bit more on the Week of the Young Child activities. And we're hoping to have a local government do a proclamation of the Week of the Young Child. And we've seen the importance of coordinating with more existing events. You know, it's where the people already are, the kids are already there. How can we help and support those events that's coming up? So we're looking at all those. And we're looking at our diverse populations in the county, how we can increase resources and services that address the needs of all the children in Floyd County. So this didn't happen overnight in Floyd County. It took some time, some planning, and some great partnerships. So I advise you to take a look at the partnerships you have, and do you have all the right stakeholders involved? Look at where you are and what you're doing and what the data says that you need to do. Look at what other groups are working with and with the birth to 5 population, and kind of look and see, you know, where can you help them out and how can they help you with your initiatives? Can you add to what they're doing or how they can support you? We all need to come together to coordinate programs and services and jointly support children and families in their journey to school readiness. And as the quote says, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Does anybody have any questions or?
Thank you so much, Kim. It would be a great time if you all have questions to drop them in the chat, and we will get right to those at the conclusion of the webinar. While it's fresh on your mind, go ahead and put it in the chat. Thank you again, Kim. That was great information.
Megan, this is Sarah. One question that I'm seeing pop up a couple times is the importance of parent education across a variety of programs and the challenges of connecting and working with parents. And I wonder if Kim can speak a little bit to what her experiences were in Floyd County in that regard, and how they worked and continue to work on connecting with parents.
Well, we try to offer a variety of avenues to connect with parents. We have the Facebook page, which has been really great with reaching out to parents and sharing information. Our Spark event has been great about getting information out to families in a fun, more informal way. Just having those different avenues. We put it out here on the website. Our community's been great. Word of mouth has been great with our community partners in some way that we've been getting those education outlets there. We also have our tiny academies, which has been great about getting our parent information out. It's just having those different venues. If it doesn't work one way for one parent getting that information, we have several other different ways to reach the parents with various information.
Thanks, Kim, and great question, Sarah, and thank you for that flag. We're going to do a little bit of interactive polls with you, and we are going to, first, we're going to do a poll. I believe Miss Amanda Atkins is going to pull that up for us, but it's just going to be a simple question of, does your community currently have transition strategies in place? Yes or not yet? We don't like no's. So it's something that if you don't have it yet, then we want to work with you on getting it. And there's always, of course, room to grow. So that should be popping up just any minute now. We're going to do a quick poll. Like I said, please continue to put those great questions and discussion topics in the chat, because we will have time at the end to address those.
Megan, while we're working on the poll, I think there was some follow-up to the parenting question of especially how to encourage parents who don't think this is for them, right? Who don't agree that they need to participate, or that this is a need their family has, or that they're even interested in participating. So for all folks on the call, Kim and others, any strategies that have worked to reach parents, but especially parents who are hesitating to participate, or just don't think that they need the service?
I was going to say, Sarah, I think one comment I would have is just sort of like us opening our minds to what parent involvement and participation looks like. I mean, it might, for one family coming to an event, might be how they participate. Another parent, it might be texting back and forth with the teacher, because that's what they have the capacity to do, and that's how they can get information. So I feel like it's thinking about the involvement and being open to it looking different, and trying to find ways to build that relationship with the parent to figure out what does it mean to them, or what's a way to connect with them. So.
Thank you, Kate. So I think the majority of you all could see the poll. I was not able to see the poll, but my team member Amanda just said that it has been up, and that we got a majority of people saying yes and a few people saying not yet. So we do appreciate your honesty. And for those who have said not yet, please reach out to us so we can help you get those strategies and programs in place in your community, because transitions are woven throughout everything we do, which you just saw is a great example for Floyd County. And another interactive thing that we really want to do very quickly is a plus minus delta board. And so Sarah's going to kind of run through it using Kim and Floyd County as an example. And then we want to build one together here with all of you all's input. And we're going to gather that information and we'll share it out when we get done. But we're going to build one together with Floyd County, and then we're going to build one together with all of you all's communities as well. So I'm going to pass it.
Megan?
Yep.
I do believe Amy has joined us and I see her hand raised.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sarah. I can't see everything.
I just had a quick question on that data that just popped up. It looked super exciting to me. It looked like we've got a great deal of our partners already implementing transition strategies. Is that right? Or did I have my one eye crossed, or what did that look like to y'all?
As I believe 88%.
Okay.
If that was right, Amanda, 88% said that reported that they had at least one or more transition strategies at work.
Okay, so, I don't want to get us off course here, but I would love for us to do a follow-up on that at some point and talk about how we're measuring success, because in my mind, that's a huge win for the state. If we're already implementing transition, I saw some of our friends from the Regional Training Center on the webinar, and I know that's a big focus for them as well. And so the more that we can row in the same direction, the better. So I'll pitch it back to you, Megan, but it's just a flag in my mind that we want to think about how we're measuring success. So back to you.
Thanks, Amy. Great flag. I'll pitch it over to Sarah. I think she's going to pull up a graphic for our plus minus delta board.
If you will give me screen sharing, that would be great. And just letting folks know there's some terrific comments in the chat box as well. So definitely check out some of the chats that are happening on some of the questions we've had.
Sarah, you should be a co-host. Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay,
Let
great.
me. This is what happens when I have too many screens open. Okay, everyone should be able to see my computer. And I've got a program called Jamboard up. And this is one of the Google suite of programs. So as long as you have Gmail or a Google account, this is open and accessible. And I'm going to invite Kim to help me demonstrate for folks who have not used a plus minus delta, how the activity works as kind of an ongoing formative evaluation. So a quick and easy way to check in on how an initiative or a set of strategies is working. In this exercise, the plus are the things that are working well. We're going to leave them alone. It's working, right? Things that have gone well are really producing results. In the minus, we have things that are not working well, that need to be discarded, the things that are big challenges and big barriers, the things that are really creating inertia and keeping us from making progress. But those are different from the deltas, which is the final column, which are the promising ideas or practices that really show promise, but they need some tweaking. So maybe it's a best practice that we learned of in another community and we really like it, but we realize we're going to have to tweak it a little bit. So the minuses are things that we really kind of have to address because they're hindering the project. The deltas are things that could be really good for us, but we recognize that some changes are necessary. So Kim, I'm going to ask, as you think about the pluses of what you've been doing in Floyd County around kindergarten transitions over the years, what's gone really well? What would you put in the pluses column?
Our Facebook Live has gone really well, reaching families.
How did you promote the Facebook Live? Was that hard to kind of get up and get started, or did it take on a life of its own?
We shared the Facebook Live with our parents at parent meetings and councils, and we had a flyer and told them how to get there. We shared it put the flyer in any events that we had. So we kind of shared it that way. We put it on our websites, our school district put it on their websites and their social media outlets to let them know that we were starting that. And that's how we got that started in Floyd.
Other things that really have gone really, really well, have exceeded your expectations maybe for the plus column.
The attendance that we have with our Spark event.
And what do you attribute that to? How did that attendance, how do you think you came to have such great attendance?
I think with this is our end of the year big event. We've had many small events that people enjoyed. So word of mouth was a good way of getting those contacts. We advertised, we had radio announcements. We placed a huge flyer, well, actually a poster size flyer at all the elementary schools. So as parents come in, they could see that event was happening.
Now, as you think about the things that were more challenging, what, if anything, would you put in the minus column? Something that you tried and it didn't work, or something that was really hindering your progress or creating a lot of inertia for you?
Well, one would have been our Grandparents Rock event, where we had to do it the first time virtually. So that was, it was a struggle. So we're hoping to do that in person.
What would be some other things that you tried and just had to give up entirely, or it just wasn't working? Is there anything else that you recognized over the years? You know, it seemed like a good idea, but in practice, it just didn't work for us.
One has been our story stroll. I mean, the businesses love it, but we weren't getting the parents and the children's participation as much as we liked.
And now moving on to the deltas, are there ideas that you've seen, or either currently or as you were developing and keep developing the initiative, things that seem like promising or exciting practices, but you recognize you would have to kind of tweak it to meet Floyd County?
One of them has been our Directors Leadership Academy, because we were trying to have it more often. And I think we're seeing that having it quarterly is more efficient, would be more efficient.
For the folks on the call, other questions or prompts or things you would like to ask Kim, or comments on the plus minus delta exercise as a way to quickly and efficiently kind of reflect on a program's success and its lessons learned?
And if there's something that your community or your regional collaborative wants to add to the board, shout that out or put it in the chat, because we want to build one of these to be interactive to share too with all of you all following the webinar. So if there's something your community is doing great that you want to share, please let us know.
So final question for Kim. Obviously, this type of exercise leads us to making changes and making improvements. Can you talk a little bit about your structure for evaluating the program and for tracking its implementation, and how internally you work with your colleagues to ensure you're always in a continuous improvement cycle?
We're very data-driven in Floyd County. Every event that we hold, we get a survey back from the parents or whoever participates in those. So we get that information and we look at that data to see, you know, what's working. And we also look to see what's the biggest impact with the funding that we have. We look at our bigger projects and then we go from there, and we the information that we have, and we decide if this program is working, or how are we going to tweak this program to make it a little bit better based on the feedback that we get from parents and participants.
Megan, I saw that you had your hand up.
Oh, nope, I was just giving her a clap.
Oh,
for
okay.
the- Yeah,
was a
that
clap.
data.
Thank
We
you.
love the data.
All right, before we move on, I can see that we have some additional questions for Kim. So I wanted to make sure that we had a chance for folks on the call to have those questions and answer time with Kim. So one of the questions was whether, when you're talking about community, whether that refers to the collaborative at large or to unique communities that are making up the collaborative.
A lot of these activities are unique to Floyd County. We're one part of a bigger collaborative with Pike and McGoffin, but a lot of these are unique to Floyd County that we started before the merger of the counties for the collaborative. And we found these are really key pieces that we wanted to keep and continue doing in Floyd with the council and with resource centers and the schools.
We also had a request to share more about the academy.
Any specific, the Tiny Academy, any specifics that you would like to know?
Leanne, I'll ask if you can kind of share your interest or your question there.
Hey, thank you. Hey, Kim, so good to see you. I was actually referring to the Leadership Academy. I know you and I have talked about that, but I thought others might be interested in hearing a little more about who comes to those and the kinds of data that you collect and share. And you touched on that already, but I just find that really an important piece of what you all do.
Okay. Our Directors Leadership Academy is that the directors of all the child cares and our Head Start preschool director, they come together and they have a little meeting before, and they have a little networking meeting, and they share any struggles or concerns at that time. They talk about some of those things, and they also share like the Brigance data, where we always we have that for our council, and we also use that as a screener for Head Start preschool. And we talk about where the kids are and what we're seeing our biggest needs are. You know, are we seeing, is it social emotional? Is that across all these areas? Are we seeing if it's cognitive? Where's that at? Is it math? Is it literacy? So we're using that to plan activities at our bigger events like Spark. If we see that our children are struggling with social emotional skills, one of the activities that the teachers lead will be a social emotional activity. If we see it's math, then one of the teachers will be having that activity that they're doing with math. And so we use that to kind of help plan our activities during our events. And we also look at kindergarten screener data too, once that's released. You know, where's Head Start at, preschool's at, where's the child care at, and what can we do to move these kids farther towards school readiness. So, and then after they have their meeting, we also have a training portion that we invite any Head Start person who wants to come, preschool and child care teachers and assistants can come, and they can get at least an hour to an hour and a half of early ECE TRIS credit. And we have just different people coming in doing those trainings that are so they can receive that credit.
Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome.
And Kim, a question from Jason about meeting with partners and how often you need to do that and how basically you manage to get everyone on the same page.
Well, most of the time that to get all these partners together, they are a member of our Early Childhood Council in Floyd County, and we have monthly meetings, and we have these partners show up for these monthly meetings. From businesses, we have representatives from local hospitals, from the school district, Head Start preschool, child care. So that's where we get most of these partners and involved and let them know what we're doing is our monthly council meetings.
Other questions for Kim?
Hey, Sarah, it's
Yes.
Amy. Just if we could ask Kim just to build on that just a little bit.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about this with Kim when we were doing the planning call, but Kim makes it sound so easy. They just come to the meeting, she says. But Floyd County has been out this for a really long time. So I think I'd challenge Kim to think back to when this used to be really challenging for Floyd County, right? So, Kim, could you just unpack that a little bit and just, tell us really, how do you get everybody to row in the same direction, to Jay Sook's question? And then the other question I would toss on top of it is, now that you're a regional collaborative, how have you been successful about bringing others along with some of these transition strategies?
Well, I was blessed to join the council. I started in 2012. So we had an established core when I started, but we have sent out email invites. We've attended like chamber meetings to talk about what our council is, what we do, and how we would value their partnerships. We just kind of went out there and we actually divided up. We brainstormed a list of people that we would like to have at our table, and then as a council, whoever we had that connection or relationship with, that we went out and we kind of talked with these people, said, we'd love to have you a part of our council. We'd love to have you involved, and here's what we do. And we kind of talked with that. So we kind of did some door-to-door canvassing at the start to get some of these other people involved. And we, asked to speak at some of these their board meetings, like the hospitals. If we could have maybe 5 minutes of your time to just kind of talk with you about what we do as a council and how you can support us. And we don't always come out and ask for money. We're great, we'll take it, but a lot of them are more susceptible to, if you give them some suggestions of other things than monetary donations, just your time. If you just kind of, so you have this program going on, how can we help you? How can we work together with this program? Because you'll be surprised of how many businesses out there has a birth to 5 options. I mean, even the hospitals have a birth to 5 program that they're, that they do. So see where you could fit in with their puzzle, their piece. How can you help them? So we kind of started with that. And it all goes back, I think, to relationships. So we looked at who had a relationship with these partners that we wanted to get on board with us, and we kind of started there.
Kim, that's fantastic. Very helpful. The other thing I hear you saying, it's consistent, it's relationship building, it's ongoing. It doesn't stop, right? And you all have been at this for a very, very long time. Tell us a little more about being able to bring your other communities along with some of these transition practices, or is this something that is still a challenge for you all? Is it just Floyd County standing by itself? Tell us more about that.
Well, we are in a process. I mean, with COVID and everything, it kind of hindered us working so much as a collaborative with COVID and getting together as a 3-county group. But we have plans of working together and doing more activities together as a collaborative. One of them is our Spark event. Is one of our can be one of our big collaborative activities, because we do at that event get children and families from several of our surrounding counties. So it's not always just Floyd County in those events. But I would like to see us work more closely and together as a collaborative. But we are working together on we had some projects that we were working on together. Get on Track is a screening event that we were planning with all 3 counties, but it kind of got put on hold because of our increasing numbers with COVID. We are working collaboratively with the Week of the Young Child events and things that we're doing around that. So, but I think that is an area that we can improve upon. It's working more with our other counties and our collaborative a little more closely.
Kim, this is Jason. Can I follow up on what you just said a little bit? So going back to Sarah's Jamboard, so plus minus kind of things. When you take all of your different programs that you have hitting different types of readiness, as you showed on your slide, you mentioned some of those programs right now. So when you're expanding to other counties, do you have a plan where you're thinking, just like you did with Dolly Parton Imagination Library, is there a specific age groups or specific type of transition activities that you want to do first? Or is it just what's already available? How are you going to decide so you can tackle? Because obviously you can't do everything you're doing now in Floyd County and dump it in the other counties and get it done right now. So what's your sort of thinking process in getting that going? And what's your priority?
Well, we started out small. So we looked at what would give us the most impact of what we're doing. So we started out with the council. We had our big Spark event, and that was we started with that and how we can get the community and everybody involved with that. But it would just be a kind of starting small. And we started out with maybe 2 or 3 main activities. And then some of these others, we just kind of started partnering with some other entities that had some things that were already going on.
Other questions for Kim while we have her? Kim, I have a question. Can folks reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat. So anybody would like to just call and or email me with any questions, feel free to do so.
And I see Shelley has a question. Go ahead, Shelley.
Well, not so much a question, just but accolades for Kim and the Floyd County Council. So I am part of the Pike County Community Early Childhood Council, and Floyd County has always been kind of the precedent that we wanted to see, especially as a neighboring county. And now we get to be part of the collaborative. And Kim knows I spoke very candidly in our last collaborative meeting that I am seeing some, I'll call them out. I'm seeing that maybe we should just be the collaborative and not try to do individually, because Floyd County is such a strong partner for us, and they've gave us a lot of great ideas. And specifically, we're being able to work with our library here to launch Imagination Library. And it was my work with Floyd County and being able to see how they've done it that helped us take all the right steps. So not to throw more on Kim's plate, but they are a great example, and I love hearing about them being able to share the work that they've done and to be connected with them now.
Great. Thank you, Shelley. That's great. Is there any more questions?
I have a feeling Kim's email is going to be filling up quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Megan, I am looking at the time.
Yep.
I know that Kim is very graciously provided her information, and of course, folks can always get in touch with us on how to use a tool like the plus minus delta in their own evaluation process, or how they can incorporate that into their practice. But Megan, I'm going to turn it back to you for next steps.
Thank you, Sarah. First of all, just thank you for everybody, but I'm going to actually, before I give some last minute homework or assignments, I'm going to pass it to our executive director, Amy Neal, who was unable to join us this morning due to some technical issues, just to let her get a few things in.
Thanks, Megan. Shelley, thank you for your for speaking up. I think that really says a lot about the decision that the Early Childhood Advisory Council made a couple years ago on redesigning the community early childhood councils. And so thank you for speaking up. So just quickly, I just want to thank Kim and her team in Floyd County. And just, I loved everything that I heard about how they are leveraging human and financial resources to get that bigger impact. I heard her talking about data and leaning into her existing partners and all of the work that they've done over time. And it doesn't happen overnight. So thank you, Kim, so, so much. And tell Anna we said hello and thank you for her work. I want to thank my extraordinary team. They're incredible. We are small but mighty, but they do a great job even when their executive director doesn't show up because of technology. So thank you so much. Thanks to our regional collaborative members and then our other early childhood stakeholders who continue to join us. We just keep getting more and more birth to 5 partners, and we love it, love it, love it, because the way that we're going to ensure that more children show up for kindergarten strong is when we have every single birth to 5 partner sitting at the same table in the Commonwealth. And last, thanks to our leaders, we had several Early Childhood Advisory Council leaders join us today. Dee Dee Cummins, Dr. Joseph Gilbert, Kim Fithian, I think Amy Smith was there. I hope I didn't miss anyone, but we appreciate you all more than you know. And so just thanks for everything that you all are doing to ensure that more children enter kindergarten with high quality experiences. And we're so happy that you're joining us every other month because we are working so hard to provide some really great training and technical assistance to you all. And so Megan, that's all I have to say. So I'm going to pitch it back to you.
Thank you, Amy. And I'll just piggyback on what Amy said. Thank you so much to Compass, Sarah, and Kate, and of course, our excellence in the field example, Kim. And as Sarah mentioned, please reach out to us. I'm sure all of you will have my email, probably more so than you want, but please reach out and let us know if we can help. That's what we're here for. And I will be sending out a post survey. And we really do use that information. We take it and we analyze it and we try to improve these every time we do one. And the next one will be in March. So please be on the lookout for that. And just as everyone mentioned today, and as Floyd County showed us, it's a great example, but transitions are a multi-strategy process. It should be woven throughout everything we do for our birth to 5 children, and transitions are a year-long process, and the time to start planning is now. So please be thinking of that, especially with the upcoming RFA that's coming. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and continue to have a wonderful new year. And please reach out if there's any questions or anything, please feel free. But thank you all so much for taking the time. And I think this was a great session.